Thornsberry, and I serve as the Vice Chair of the Board of Adjustments. And I want to take a few minutes to acknowledge the passing of our chair, Brad Condon. He died suddenly on November 10th, and he has served on the Board of Adjustments since February of 2015. So he's really been a mentor to all of us. His knowledge about what has happened in Waterloo developments, and he knows of places that some of us couldn't even find when we went out to look at the different applications. So he'll be sorely missed, and we just wanted to take this moment to acknowledge his service, and we so appreciated what he meant to our committee here. So now I'll call the regular scheduled meeting of the Waterloo Board of Adjustments to order. We have an agenda that was prepared. May I have a motion to approve the agenda if there are no additions?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have an agenda to work with. And we have the October 24th, 2023 minutes to approve. And Mr. Beckman, you have a correction?
Yes, please. On page 5 of our packet, item number 2, the Nathan Whipple request. 2 things. There's a sentence that starts off, Dornoff read the stall report. That should be staff, not stall. And secondly, it indicates that the motion was carried unanimously. I abstained from that motion, so we need to correct that.
Great. So therefore, the motion was 3 affirmative and 1 abstain,
Correct.
and it was passed.
Yes.
Thank you for those corrections. May I have a motion to approve the amended minutes?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Tonight, we have 8 decision items that we'll work through. And the first one is a request by Short Enterprises. May I have the staff report, please?
This is Dornoff with staff. The applicant is requesting a 3-year temporary variance to allow for gravel surfacing for a storage area for boats, RVs, etc., which would allow the applicants time to decide exactly how they want to develop the property. The request would not appear to have a negative impact on the surrounding area, as it would appear to be compatible with surrounding area. The site is served by Airline Highway, which is the principal arterial. The property is located east of 1330 West Airline Highway and is zoned M2 Heavy Industrial District, and is zoned as such since the adoption of zoning ordinance 2479 in 1969. Properties to the south, west, and north are zoned M2 Heavy Industrial District. Properties to the east and southeast are zoned M1 Light Industrial District, and the property to the northeast is zoned A1 Agricultural District. The zoning ordinance requires driveways and parking areas, vehicle use areas for commercial and industrial uses to be properly hard surfaced. The applicant is asking for a 3-year temporary variance to this provision. The applicant is requesting a 3-year temporary variance to allow for gravel surfacing while they develop a long-term plan for development of site while still allowing for storage of boats, RVs, etc. The Board of Adjustment approved the variance to allow for gravel on the adjacent property in order to construct a commercial building on September 28, 2021. However, the property was instead sold to the Cedar Bend Humane Society. Criteria, lack of reasonable return. There would not appear to be a lack of reasonable return, as the applicant could use approved hard surfacing. Uniqueness. There appears to be uniqueness to the request, as the applicant is working on a long-term plan for the development of the property. Public considerations, approval, 3-year temporary variance would not appear to have a negative impact on the area. Therefore, staff recommends that the request by Short Enterprises LLC for a 3-year temporary variance to the hard surfacing requirements to allow for a gravel storage area for boats, RVs, etc. in the M2 Heavy Industrial District located east of 1330 West Airline Highway be approved for the following reasons. The request is in conformance with the comprehensive plan and future land use map for the area. Then there would appear to be uniqueness, as the applicant is working on a long-term plan for development of property. It should be noted that I did receive a call in opposition from the property owners 2 doors to the west. I think he was planning to be at the meeting, so not sure if he is or not. And also Cedar Bend on Humane Society has also voiced opposition. So,
Thank you. Any questions for staff? I have one. It appears like they're applying for a gravel,
right.
variance for gravel, but then in the letter, it says that they would like to use crushed asphalt. Does it
Right.
matter?
It does, I mean, either one's not considered hard surfacing, so it would need a variance, so it still
Anyway.
needs a variance, yeah.
Crushed asphalt would be less dusty.
Less dusty,
dirty.
correct.
I have a question too. We have a site plan in here for 6 mini storage or mini warehouses.
That is not their final plan. They weren't
So,
sure on it.
okay,
Future use, potentially.
Exactly.
okay, that's just a rough,
That's very
all
rough.
right, thank you.
All right, any other questions of staff? All right, is there anyone in the audience that'd like to speak in favor of this variance request? Please state your name and your address.
Good afternoon. Dan Aarons, VJ Engineering. I'd be the civil engineer that the applicant's been working with. My address is 3714 Center Street, Cedar Falls. To address a couple of those things, they do plan on using crushed asphalt if this was to be passed. That being said, we'd only be looking at probably very temporary. Since we brought this forward for a variance, we've actually continued on with the plans that you've seen here with the 6 mini storage units, and we've sized the detention and been working with City of Waterloo Engineering Department on a plan to move forward with that layout or something very similar. I think after talking to the applicant here earlier today, his main thing is he'd like to get his fence up. He has the fence already in hand with a gate, and he'd like to be able to temporarily, even if it was this winter or into next year, store some things out there on a temporary hard surface. But obviously, we know that the neighbors would have some issues with gravel if there was a dust issue. So that's why they wanted to go with the asphalt, the crushed asphalt.
How large an area are we talking about? What's the overall size of this lot that's going to be developed?
It is 2.95 acres total. The total site is.
And you're going to start off by laying down a layer of asphalt and erecting a fence.
Erecting the fence, I think, is and getting the entrance constructed is their main concern right now. But the reason they've applied for the variance is so that they could store campers or boats temporarily while they finalize their plan with engineering.
Okay, so fence up, but no asphalt surface.
I guess it would depend on how the weather holds,
Sure.
if we can even get asphalt down yet this year. But I think that would be their intention.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you.
Yep.
Is there anyone in the audience that would speak in opposition to this request for variance?
Excuse me, Madam Chairwoman, I should point out, I'm on the board of directors of the Humane Society, and we own the property adjacent to this. I think I'll abstain from voting.
Thank you. All right, any other questions or concerns? All right, may I have a motion for the request by Short Enterprises LLC?
I would like to move that we approve this request by Short Enterprises LLC for a 3-year temporary variance to the hard surfacing requirements to allow for a gravel storage area for boats, RVs, etc. in the M2 Heavy District, Industrial District, located east of 1330 West Airline Highway, be approved. For the following reasons, the request is in conformance with the comprehensive plan and future land use map for this area. And there would appear to be a uniqueness to the request. The applicant is working with a long-term plan for the development of the property. And the request would not appear to have a negative impact on the surrounding area.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. I wonder if we should change the gravel to that crushed asphalt that they stated they would be using, and that might satisfy the concern of the dust from the possibility of the two parties that were in opposition.
Actually, the fence would actually, the
Is it-
one person in opposition would be happy with the fencing going up.
Is it a
That
solid
was more their
fence?
concern, yeah.
Okay, solid fencing?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So is it necessary, since he declared that he would be doing crushed asphalt versus gravel, to state it that way?
You can, that's up to you.
Carol?
Well, could we do gravel and or, no?
No, I think just to allay any concerns about dust, let's
Do the crushed
let's do
asphalt.
the
Okay.
crushed
All
asphalt.
right, well then I'll change that to crushed asphalt.
Okay.
And solid fencing, or
Not necessarily so. I mean, they weren't concerned about fence. They just wanted some type of fence because they were afraid of children going over there.
okay.
All right, so we have a motion to approve the request by Short Enterprises for a 3-year temporary variance. And all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And one,
Abstain.
wait, and one abstention. Okay, motion carries. All right, our second decision item is a request by Mike Faraday Heating and Air Conditioning. May I have a staff report, please?
Yeah, this is a request by Mike Faraday Heating and Cooling for a variance to the long dimension front yard on a corner lot for a setback of 5 feet, 5 feet less than the 10 feet required. A variance to the rear yard setback for a variance of 20 feet, 15 less than the 35 feet required for a commercial building, and a variance to allow for an accessory structure on a lot by itself across the street from a principal permitted use in the C2 Commercial District, located east of 911 West 5th Street at the southerly quarter of 5th Street and Grant Avenue. The applicant's requesting approval of the long dimension front yard building setback, one on a corner lot, 5 feet less than the 10 required, and rear yard setback of 20, which is 15 less than the 35 required. In addition, a variance is being requested to have an accessory structure on a lot by itself across the street from where the principal permitted use is located. Property is located east of 911 West 5th Street, which is at the southerly corner of 5th Street and Grant Avenue. The property is zoned C2 Commercial District and has been zoned as such since 1969. Properties to the north-south, east and west are zoned C2 Commercial District. The request would not appear to have a negative impact on the area, as the area mostly consists of commercial uses with some residential. There are numerous homes and businesses in the area that do not meet today's setback requirements. The request would not appear to have any negative impact on traffic conditions in the area. The proposed request would be in conformance with the classification of this area as commercial on the future land use map within the City of Waterloo Comprehensive Plan adopted August 21st, 2023. Section of zoning ordinance that pertain to the request, criteria, lack of reasonable return. There would not appear to be a lack of reasonable return, as the accessory structure could still be built without variances to the setback requirements, but a variance would still be required to have an accessory structure on a lot by itself. That would appear to be uniqueness to the request, as there are numerous businesses and homes in the immediate vicinity that do not meet the zoning ordinance current setback requirements. Approval of the variances would better accommodate conditions for construction of a 2,250 square feet accessory structure. Approval of the variance would not appear to have a negative impact on the commercial area. There's been no opposition to this request. Therefore, staff recommends the request by Mike Faraday, heating and cooling conditioning for a variance to the long dimensioned front yard on a corner lot for a setback of 5 feet less than the 10 feet required. A variance to the rear yard setback for a setback of 20 feet, 15 less than the 35 feet required for a commercial building, and a variance to allow for an accessory structure on a lot by itself. Across the street from the principal permitted use building in the C2 Commercial District located east of 911 West 5th Street. Be approved for the following reasons. The request would not appear to have a negative impact upon the surrounding area. There would appear to be uniqueness to this request, as there are numerous businesses and homes in the immediate vicinity that do not meet the zoning ordinance current setback requirements. Approval of the variance would better accommodate conditions for the construction of a 2,250 square feet accessory structure. And that's a staff report.
Thank you, Seth.
You're welcome.
Any questions?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Looking at page 21, the site plan here, or the plot plan, I should say, what you're talking about, rear yard setback of 20 feet? Are you talking about the rear yard being along West 5th Street?
No, it's,
On Grant?
the rear yard setback is 15 feet, 20 feet less than what is required.
Well, I didn't think that's what it said. Rear yard setback of 20 feet, which is 15 feet less than the 35 feet required.
Yeah, it should be a setback of 15
50,
feet, 20
okay.
feet less than required.
Okay,
Yep.
that confused me, but thank you for clarifying
Yeah,
it.
Oh, okay.
So the 35 feet is deleted.
yeah, it should be, well, 35 is the required setback, and then they're requesting a setback of 15 feet.
No, they're by 20 feet, 15 less than required.
No, according to their site plan, it's 15 feet.
Okay,
Okay, oh, so did I have that incorrect in the staff report?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
I just
apologize.
flipped them by accident.
Oh,
Easy.
okay.
Okay, so let's get it straight.
so
So
the-
it is,
20 feet back from West 5th Street? 5 feet back from Grant?
no, setback on Grant is 10 feet, so they're requesting 5 feet, which, and then on the rear yard, which is, they're requesting 15 feet, which is 20 feet less than the 35 feet required.
Okay.
Okay, but in looking at this aerial photo, it appears that what the building line along Grant anyway is gonna be in line with the house next door.
let me ask
Yes, it
this,
is.
Okay.
let me ask this question. Is this building going to have a Grant Avenue address or West Fifth Street address?
Hmm, not quite
I'm-
sure.
I'm guessing it's gonna be Grant.
Yeah.
But the narrow dimension front yard is facing West Fifth Street.
Mm-hmm.
So it's irrelevant what it's gonna be addressed at as far as what the setback requirements are.
Sure.
So,
No mail delivery.
so basically, when it comes to the zoning ordinance, we look at the narrow dimension as the front yard. But because Grant, it's on a corner lot, Grant also is front yard. So it has to meet half of the front yard setback because it's the long dimension.
I'm gonna let Craig make this motion.
So it's gonna be 5 feet back from Grant, 20 feet back from West 5th, 15 feet back from the northeast
Property line.
property
Yeah,
line,
the back property line.
and, okay, 5 feet from the southeast property line.
Correct. southwest property line's fine, the front property line's fine. It's the long dimension front yard and the rear yard that needs the variances. And of course, the variance to allow for an accessory structure.
Right.
Yeah,
So there's just two variances that we're dealing with.
3,
Oh, the
Free setback. variance.
the long, the rear, and the building.
correct.
Got it. Okay.
Clear as mud?
Okay. Any more questions of staff?
That's enough.
Is there anyone who would like to speak in favor of this request? Opposed to this request? Okay. Is there anyone on Zoom? I don't think so. All righty.
Nope.
So, may I have a motion for the request for Mike Faraday Heating and Air Conditioning?
I will, I will move that the request by Mike Faraday Heating and Air Conditioning for a variance to the long dimension front yard on a corner lot for a setback of 5 feet, which is 5 feet less than the 10 feet required. A variance to the rear yard setback for a setback of 15 feet, 20 feet less than the 35 feet required for a commercial building, and a variance to allow an accessory structure on a lot by itself across the street from the principal permitted use in the C2 Commercial District located east of 911 West Fifth Street, be approved for the following reasons. The request would not appear to have a negative impact on the surrounding neighborhood, and there would appear to be a uniqueness to this request as there are numerous businesses and homes in the immediate vicinity that do not meet the zoning ordinance's current setback requirements. Approval of the variances would better accommodate conditions for the construction of a 2,250 square foot accessory structure.
Second.
Did I get that right?
Thank you. Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. All right, our third decision item is a request by CNS Car Company for a 1-year temporary variance to the hard surfacing requirements to allow for a gravel parking lot located in the R3 Multiple Residence District and C2CZ Conditional Zoning District located along the southwest side of South Street from West 6th Street to West 7th Street. Staff report, please.
This is Dornoff with staff. The applicant's requesting a 1-year temporary variance to allow for gravel surfacing for a commercial lot for their auto sales business located across the street from their main location. The request would not appear to have a negative impact surrounding areas. The variance is only temporary until the applicants start construction in the spring. The location of the property is along the southwest side of South Street between West 6th and 7th Street, and a portion of it is owned C2 CZ Conditional Zoning District, having been rezoned from R3 Multiple Residence District on December 3rd, 2012 by Ordinance 5138. The other portion of the property is owned R3 Multiple Residence District, having been rezoned as such since the adoption of zoning ordinance 2479 in 1969. The R3 portion will need to be rezoned to allow for the proposed use, and the applicants have applied to have the properties rezoned. The properties to the south and west are zoned R3 Multiple Residence District. Properties to the north are zoned C2 Commercial District, and the properties to the east are zoned C2 Commercial District and R4 Multiple Residence District. The zoning ordinance requires that driveways and parking areas, vehicle use areas for commercial and industrial uses be properly hard surfaced. The applicant's requesting for a 1-year temporary variance to this provision to allow for gravel lot. The applicant is planning to construct a new building on the site, which will have proper hard surfacing, and plans to start construction on the project in the spring. Therefore, only wants to have the gravel surfacing temporarily. The applicants have also submitted an application to rezone the properties that are currently zoned R3 Multiple Residence District to C2CZ Conditional Zoning District. A condition as part of the approval will be the rezone is approved by city council, otherwise the variance would not be valid, as the commercial parking is not allowed and not a permitted use in the R3 district. Criteria, lack of reasonable return. There would not appear to be a lack of reasonable return to the request, as the applicant could use proper hard surfacing. 2, uniqueness. There would appear to be uniqueness to the request, as it is only a temporary request until the building is constructed in 2024. As is, the building cannot start during the winter is approaching. Yeah. And approval of a 1-year temporary variance. So it appears to have, would not appear to have a negative impact on the surrounding area. The staff is not aware of any opposition to the request, and the request is temporary, as the area will have a new building and proper hard surfacing will need to be installed once it's done. Therefore, staff recommends that the request by CNS Automotive for a 1-year temporary variance to allow for hard surfacing requirements, to allow for a gravel parking lot located next in the R3 Multiple Residence District and C2CZ Conditional Zoning District, located south along the southwest side of South Street from West 6th to West 7th Street, be approved for the following reasons. The request is in conformance with comprehensive plan and future land use map for the area. The request does not appear to have a negative impact on the surrounding area. There would appear to be uniqueness to the request, as this is only a temporary request until the new building is constructed in 2024. And the with the following condition that the rezone on the site is approved by city council.
Okay, so I have a question. No work can be done until the rezone is completed.
Correct.
Okay.
What's the likelihood of that happening?
I don't see a issue with it. So as far as the rezoning,
Is it on the agenda?
it's
already?
it's already on the agenda. It will be on the December 12th P&Z Commission meeting, and then go to the city council.
In January.
Yeah, the first meeting in January.
So are we getting the cart before the horse?
Yeah, I was wondering the same thing.
Well, they need the variance approved, and they want to have this approved first, so they can go ahead and make their plans. And I mean,
Would that,
because there's one lot they can already, I mean, part of it can already be or surfaced.
because it's zone property.
Its own property, right?
Mhm.
So this variance would then line up and make the rezoning more palatable and
Correct.
go quickly.
Yep.
Okay, but yet they can't do anything
Yeah, it's
until they get the rezone done.
correct.
Okay. All right.
Can we mention using crushed asphalt instead of gravel? I'm just thinking for the dust for the neighbors.
But that- Oh, I see. Yeah, it does.
There's a lot more
Residents.
residential than there was around Airline Highway.
Well, they specifically asked for gravel, so
And it's 1 year and it'll be covered in snow soon.
That's, well, maybe, yeah. It is now, actually.
yeah.
Is that a deal
And-
breaker?
Pardon?
Is that a deal breaker if we throw in asphalt instead of gravel?
Well, let's see if there's someone who'd like to talk about that. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to talk in favor of CNS Car Company getting a 1-year temporary variance? No. Is it a deal breaker? Because they're both are defined as hard surface, right? I mean, temporary hard surface.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, if they hadn't specifically said they were going to put gravel down, but then, I mean, this would change everything for them. So
Okay.
they might, I'm sure they already probably are making preparations to get it, because with some of the lead times.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak not in favor of this request? All righty. Any other questions? May I have a motion for the CNS Car Company request for a 1-year temporary variance.
I'll make a motion to approve the request by CNS Automotive for a 1-year temporary variance to the hard surfacing requirements to allow for a gravel parking lot located in the R3 Multiple Residence District and the C2CZ Conditional Zoning District located along the southwest side of South Street from West 6th Street to West 7th Street for the following reasons. Number one, the request is in conformance with the comprehensive plan and future land use map for this area. Number two, the request would not appear to have a negative impact on the surrounding area. Number three, there would appear to be uniqueness to this request, as this is only a temporary request until a new building is constructed in 2024, as the building cannot be started this year as winter is approaching. Are there any oppositions?
No.
Number four, there were no oppositions to this request, along with the following condition: that the rezone of this site is approved by the city council.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor of this motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All righty. Decision item number 4 is a request by Bobin Automotive for a variance to allow for the expansion of a legal non-conforming use to allow for the expansion of a parking area in the C2 Commercial District located at 1935 Enterprise Avenue. Staff report.
Yes, the applicant's requesting a variance to allow for the expansion of a legal non-conforming use to allow for the expansion of a parking lot. Property is located at 1935 Enterprise Avenue. The property in question is owned C2 Commercial District and has been zoned as such since the adoption of the zoning ordinance in 1969. The site has a legal non-conforming automotive repair business. Request would not appear to have a negative impact upon surrounding neighborhood, which is surrounded by commercial uses. The request would not appear to have a negative impact on traffic conditions in the area. The area is served by San Martin Drive, which is a minor collector, and is served by Enterprise Drive and Sears Street, which are local roads. Proposed request would be in conformance with the classification of this area as commercial in the future land use map within the City of Waterloo Comprehensive Plan. No such non-conforming use shall be enlarged or increased nor extended to occupy a greater area of land than was occupied at the effective date of the adoption or amendment of this ordinance. Automobile establishments for display hire, sales, with incidental repairs aren't allowed use in the C2 Commercial District, but the use is for major auto repairs, which is only allowed use in the M1 Light Industrial District. The expansion of the parking lot for the non-conforming use therefore requires a variance per the zoning ordinance. However, the proposed expansion of the parking lot is fairly minor and connects between areas of existing paving that the applicants already own and would not be significant change to the use. For the criteria, lack of reasonable return, there would not appear to be a lack of reasonable return to the request, as the applicant could apply for conditional zoning in order to expand the non-conforming use. There would appear to be uniqueness to the request, as the area is surrounded by commercial uses with no residential uses in the immediate vicinity. The request, public considerations, the request would not appear to have a negative impact on surrounding area, which contains commercial businesses. Therefore, staff recommends that the request by Bobin Automotive for a variance to allow for the expansion of a legal non-conforming use to allow for the expansion of a parking area in the C2 Commercial District located at 1935 Enterprise Avenue be approved for the following reasons. Request would not appear to have a negative impact on the surrounding areas. The neighborhood is composed of commercial businesses. There would not appear to be any uniqueness to the request, as there are no residential uses in the immediate vicinity. And 3, there has been no opposition to this request.
Thank you. Any questions for Seth? None? Hearing none?
Okay.
Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in favor of this request? Name and address again.
Hello again. Dan Aarons, VJ Engineering, 3714 Center Street, Cedar Falls. This is super minor adjustment that's going to help with our parking situation over there. We've looked at a number of different options to utilize this odd corner with planning and engineering staff. And as far as I know, we have sign off from them to make these adjustments to these curbs. It basically just gives them a little more room to park a couple vehicles on their own property, where there already has been issues with people just driving up on the curb to park in these areas in the past. At least the owner noted that. So he wanted to take care of that issue as well. So, and I would note that drive there is a private drive to the north there. So.
Questions?
If everybody could turn to page 34. Just so I have this straight, the
On page 34.
on page 34, the aerial,
There we go.
the island that is pictured here, that's going to be reconfigured to allow for parking, correct?
Yes, that would be narrowed up to still have a 5-foot width along that private drive there. But where it bumps out, that used to be an ATM route, I believe, in the past.
All right.
So we're basically just skinnying that up so they can actually park a vehicle or two there, as opposed to in the past they had people just parking up on there or in the street if they couldn't find a place.
Okay, then also in that same aerial, there's a long, narrow rectangular strip with a light pole on it.
Yes, sir.
That's also going to be reconfigured.
Yep, and it looks like you're looking at the same thing I am. Anywhere that's the lighter hatching, the lighter color there,
Okay.
that's the that'll be the new area.
Okay,
Anything that's a little bit darker hatched, that's what's existing.
okay.
That light pole is inoperable and has been inoperable, so that will be removed as well.
Okay, thank you.
More questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in opposition to this request? All righty. May I have a motion?
Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the request by Bogan Automotive for a variance to allow for an expansion of a legal non-conforming use, to allow for an expansion of parking area in the C2 Commercial District located at 1935 Enterprise Drive. Be approved for the following reasons: the fact that the request would not appear to have a negative impact on the surrounding area as the neighborhood is composed of commercial businesses. There would appear to be a uniqueness in the request as there are no other residential uses in the immediate vicinity. And lastly, there have been no stated opposition for the request.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. All right, our fifth decision item is a request by Ken and Judy Samick for a variance to the side yard setback requirement to allow for a setback of 3 feet, 7 feet less than the 10 feet required to allow for the construction of a 15 feet by 44 feet, which is 660 square feet, addition to an existing attached garage in the R1 1 and 2 family residence district located at 205 Lillian Lane. Staff report, please.
To start off with staff, the applicant is requesting a variance to the side yard setback to allow for construction of a 15 by 44, 660 square foot garage addition into the side yard setback. The property is located along Lillian Lane. The property in question is zoned R1, 1 and 2 family residence district, and zoned as such since the adoption of zoning ordinance in 1969. The request would not appear to have a negative impact on neighborhood or land use in the area, as other properties in the area have setbacks of approximately 5 feet from the property lines. The R1 district requires side yard setback of 10% of the lot width, but is not required to exceed 10 feet. The lot in question is 120 feet wide at the building line, requiring a side yard setback of 10 feet. The applicant's requesting to construct a 15 by 44, 660 square foot addition, existing 484 square foot attached garage to, in the required side yard setback at 205 Lillian Lane. The new attached garage addition will extend approximately 7 feet into the required setback of 10 feet. Similar requests have come before the Board of Adjustment in the past. On September 27, 2022, Board of Adjustment approved a request for a 28 by 13 attached garage to be built with a 5-yard side yard setback, 3.5 feet less than the requirement at 305 Lambeth Avenue. On August 25th, 2020, the Board of Adjustment approved a request for an attached garage to be built with a 3-yard side yard setback, 2 feet less than the 5 foot required at 458 Devonshire Drive. Criteria: lack of reasonable return. There will not appear to be a lack of reasonable return. So request as the applicant could construct a garage addition that would meet the side yard setback requirements. Uniqueness: there would appear to be uniqueness to the request as there is an existing shed located in the same area as the proposed garage addition. The existing shed is approximately 53 feet from the property line. The new garage addition is proposed to be located in the same 3 feet from the property line. The proposed addition will still be over 18 feet from the closest point of the home to the north. Public consideration: there's been no opposition to the request. Therefore, staff recommends that the request by Ken and Judy Samick for a variance of side yard setback requirement to allow for a setback of 3 feet, 7 feet less than the 10 feet required to allow for construction of 15 by 44, 660 square foot addition to an existing attached garage in the R1 1 and 2 family residence district located at 205 Lillian Lane be approved for the following reasons. The request would not appear to have a negative impact on surrounding neighborhood and land use in the area, as the other properties in the area have setbacks of approximately 5 feet from the side property line. There would appear to be uniqueness to the request as there is no existing shed located in the same area as the proposed garage addition. The existing shed is approximately 3 feet from the side yard property line. New garage addition is proposed to be located the same 3 feet from the property line. The proposed addition will still be over to 18 feet from the closest point of the home to the north, and there's been no opposition to the request.
Thank you. Any questions for staff? All right, is there anyone in the audience that'd like to speak in favor of this request?
I have a question for the applicant.
Oh, you do?
I do.
Are you please come forward. State your name and address for the record.
Ken Samick, 205 Lillian Lane.
Mr. Samick, the shed that's currently there is going to be removed, or is that stay?
That's kind of what prompted this whole thing, is the shed needs to be replaced, has some structural problems. And between my wife and the neighbor, they feel this is going to look better. So
Shed goes away, new garage built.
So a 3-stall garage.
yes.
Nice.
Thank you.
Is there anyone in the audience that is opposed to this request? All right, may I have a motion?
I move to approve the request by Ken and Judy Samick for a variance to the side yard setback requirement to allow for a setback of 3 feet, 7 feet less than the 10 feet required, to allow for the construction of a 15-foot by 44-foot, 660 square feet addition to an existing attached garage in the R1 1 and 2 family residence district located at 205 Lillian Lane for the following reasons. Number one, the request would not appear to have a negative impact upon the surrounding neighborhood and land use in the area, as there are other properties in the area with principal buildings set back approximately 5 feet from the side property line. Number two, there would appear to be uniqueness to the request, as there is an existing shed located in the same area as the proposed garage addition, and the existing shed is approximately 3 feet from the side property line. The new garage addition is proposed to be located in the same 3 feet from the property line. The proposed addition would still be over 18 feet to the closest point of the home to the north. Number three, there's been no opposition to the request.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor of this request?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. You got your wish. Thank you. All right, moving on to request decision item number 6. This is a request from Kasim Hadzik for a variance to the front yard setback on a corner lot to allow for a setback of 6 feet, 9 feet less than the 15 feet required, and also a variance to the attached accessory structure size limit to allow for a total of 1,379 square feet of attached accessory structures, 72 square feet more than the 1,307 square feet allowed in the R1 and 2 family residence districts located at 407 Hillcrest Road. We're working with 2 variances here. Staff report, please.
The applicant is requesting a variance to the front yard setback and to the attached accessory structure size limit to allow for construction of a new 16 by 35, 560 square foot addition to an existing 819 square foot attached garage that would go into the required front yard setback on a corner lot. The property is located at the southeast corner of Glencoe Avenue and Hillcrest Road. The property in question is zoned R1, 1 and 2 family residence district. It's on the site since the adoption of the zoning ordinance in 1969. The request would not appear to have its impact on the surrounding neighborhood and land use in the area, as the addition of the garage would be located approximately 21 feet from the edge of the roadway in Glencoe Avenue, and there's no sidewalks along Glencoe Avenue. The request would not appear to have a negative impact on traffic conditions in the area, as the new garage will block any visibility for traffic. The proposed request in conformance with the future land use map of the area. The R1, 1 and 2 family residence requires a front yard setback of 30 feet on corner lots with a narrow dimension street frontage. Those frontage in the street side with the narrow width of the lot shall be required to meet the front yard requirement of this district on the narrow dimension, with the rear yard being opposite this. The longer dimension street frontage can be reduced to 1/2 of the front yard requirement of the district. Therefore, the setback off the northeast property line along Glencoe Avenue is required 15 feet. The applicant is requesting to construct a 16 by 35 foot addition to the existing single-family home, 6 feet from the northeast property line on a corner lot. The accessory structure attached or connected to the principal building shall not exceed the square footage of the principal permitted use, not including decks or enclosed porches, calculated based on the area of the base footprint of the structure. The applicant is proposing to construct a 16 by 35, 560 square foot addition to the existing 819 square foot attached garage for a total square footage of 1,379 square feet of attached accessory structure. The home is 1,370 square feet.
1,307.
Yeah, 1,307. The proposed attached garage with existing garage will be 72 feet more than the home. The applicant could construct a 488 square foot garage addition to meet the size requirements. The applicant is open to constructing a 16 by 24, 384 square foot attached garage instead of 16 by 35 addition to meet the size requirements. Lack of reasonable return does not appear to be a lack of reasonable return, as the applicant could construct a garage that meets the 15-foot setback on the northeast portion of the lot. Uniqueness to the request is site is not located along a huge traffic street, and irregular shape of the lot makes it difficult to build an addition without a variance. Public consideration, the request will not appear to have a negative impact on surrounding area or land use, as the attached garage will be located approximately 21 feet from the edge of the roadway, Glencoe Avenue, and there is no sidewalks along the south side of Glencoe. Therefore, staff recommends that the request by Kasim Hadzik for a variance to the front yard setback on a corner lot to allow for a setback of 6 feet, 9 feet less than the 15 feet required, and a variance to the attached accessory structure size limit for a total of 1,379 square feet. Attached accessory structure, 72 feet more than the 1,307 square feet allowed in the R2 1 to 2 family residence district located at 407 Hillcrest Road be approved for the following reasons. Request would not appear to have a negative impact on the surrounding neighborhood and land use in the area, as a new addition in the attached garage would be approximately 21 feet from Glencoe Avenue, and there's no sidewalks along the south side of Glencoe Avenue. There would appear to be needless requests, as the site is not located on a high traffic street, and a regular shape of the lot would make it difficult to build an addition without a variance. And 3, there's been no opposition to the request.
Thank you, no wonder. Breathe.
Yeah.
All right, any questions for staff? All right, is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak in favor of this request? No? Opposed to this request? May I have a motion?
Go ahead. It's your turn.
Okay. I move that the request by Kasim Hadzik for a variance to the front yard setback on a corner lot to allow for a setback of 6 feet, 9 feet less than the 15 feet required, and a variance to the attached accessory structure size limit to allow for a total of 1,379 square feet of attached accessory structures, which is 72 square feet more than the 1,307 square feet allowed in the R1 and 2, pardon me, in the R1, 1 and 2 family residence district located at 407 Hillcrest Road be approved for the following reasons. Number 1, the request would not appear to have a negative impact upon the surrounding neighborhood and land use in the area, as the new addition to the attached garage will be located approximately 21 feet from Glencoe Avenue, and there are no sidewalks along the south side of Glencoe Avenue. Number 2, there would appear to be a uniqueness to the request, as the site is not located along a high-traffic street, and the irregular shape of the lot would make it difficult to build the addition without a variance. And number 3, there has been no opposition to the request.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, our 7th decision item is a request by Leonard Wolf for a variance to the accessory structure size limit to allow for a total of 3,100 square feet of existing accessory structures, 1,574 square feet more than the 1,526 square feet allowed in the C2 Commercial District located at 53 East Big Rock Road. Staff report, please.
Yes, the applicant's requesting a variance to exceed the total square footage limit for accessory structures. Property is located at 53 East Big Rock Road in a Zone C2 Commercial District and has been zoned as such since the adoption of the zoning ordinance in 1969. Request would not appear to have a negative impact on the area, as the area is made up of commercial uses and rural homes. It would appear that the request would not have a negative impact on traffic conditions in the area or in the surrounding, on traffic conditions in the surrounding area. The request would be in conformance with the classification of this area as commercial in the future land use map within the City of Waterloo Comprehensive Plan adopted August 21st, 2023. The section of the zoning ordinance that pertains to this request is Chapter 5, General Regulations 10.5.1, Accessory Structures. Accessory structures that are not part of the main building shall not exceed 6% of the lot size. The applicant is requesting to allow for a total of 3,100 square feet of accessory structures, 1,570 square feet more than the 1,526 square feet allowed at that location. There appear to be several structures and additions on the property that were constructed without permits. Also appears that the structures may be used for commercial activities. There's a sign on the property advertising a welding shop. Staff member talked to the applicant. He indicated that the welding shop is just a hobby and is not a commercial business. The building department noted that the applicant has worked with the building department to legalize the structures with the condition that the previous proposed 10 by 10 by 18 by 10 square foot wooden carport that was discussed at the October to be torn down because it was not built to code. The applicant built accessory structures without proper permits. The applicant worked with the building department to address these deficiencies. The site location is near existing commercial businesses and farm fields on the edge of the city, therefore allowing these accessory structures to remain would not be out of character with the area. For the criteria, lack of reasonable return, there would not appear to be a lack of reasonable return, as the applicant could build accessory structures that would meet the requirements of the zoning ordinance. There would appear to be uniqueness to the request, as the property is located on the fringe of the city with a commercial use to the west and farm fields in close proximity. Approval of the variance would not appear to have a negative impact upon the surrounding area. There's been no opposition to the request. Therefore, staff recommends a request by Leonard Wolf for a variance to the accessory structure size limit to allow for a total of 3,100 square feet of accessory structures, 1,574 square feet, more than the 1,526 square feet allowed in the C2 Commercial District, located at 53 East Big Rack Road, be approved for the following reasons. The applicant previously constructed accessory structures on the property without permits, but has worked with the building department to address these deficiencies. There would appear to be uniqueness to the request, as the property is located on the fringe of the city with commercial use to the west and farm fields in close proximity. There would not appear to be a negative impact on the area. It would appear that the request would not have a negative impact on traffic conditions in the surrounding area.
Thank you. Any questions for staff?
I want to clarify that this carport, his application dated September 18th, 2023,
Yep.
indicates that he wants to add a 10 by 20 carport.
Yeah, the building department came out to Ms. Wolf's property, and it's since been removed. So right now, we're just trying to legalize the accessory structures that were constructed on the property.
Didn't we have this request last month
Yes.
that
Tabled
we tabled it because of the building issue?
issues.
Yes.
And those apparently have been satisfied.
Those have been satisfied with the building department, sir, yes.
So,
Carport was removed.
And the carport has been since removed.
so hold on here. So the 1,574 square feet that is at issue here is comprised of the existing structures.
That is correct. That is correct.
So to follow on with that, then the application here, we're not even dealing with.
No.
We're only dealing with the issues of the permit or the variance for the existing structures.
That is correct.
So what do we do with this application? Table it?
Well, basically, the issues have been removed. So what we're trying to do is just, legalize the structures that were built without permits.
That's
That's the purpose of this variance.
all right, but it's not the purpose of his application.
Right. That is correct.
So what do we do with his application?
Basically, the application was submitted under certain conditions. Those conditions changed. So he still needs a variance. So it's just a matter of what he needs a variance for just changed.
So therefore, the fee that he paid for this application, we should refund because we're dealing with just getting his.
Well, he would still need to just turn around and pay for this variance. So
I see.
Yeah, because the application fee that covers, publishing and other things and other items.
Staff work.
But and then there was staff time involved to address the deficiencies. But at least with the passage of this variance, then the applicant is in full compliance now with the zoning ordinance.
Okay, but do we, in full compliance of all the structures that are there, that's what we're dealing with.
That's what we're dealing
But
with.
then we have his request that he wants to build a carport, a variance to build a carport with no walls, doors, or windows.
Well, I think that was.
Is
the
that off the-
initial
That's
request from
been
last month.
withdrawn.
That's off the table.
That's off the
Yeah.
table now.
He wanted
Clear.
to build, or not build, he wanted to legalize the one he'd already built.
I see. All right, thank you. Other questions for staff? All right. Is there someone in the audience that would like to speak in favor of this variance? No?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Wolf?
Building was built, approximately 8 years ago, and the main building there was built by variance also. I guess what I'm saying is that even though it wasn't approved apparently by you guys, but the county assessor put it on the tax roll, so it's taxable, which I found out, and they did that within a year, and I don't know how they knew
Oh, they have
that
software.
that it was there, but they did, and so I am taxable on that part of it, and for some reason, between me and my contractor, we didn't get the permit. I don't know whether he forgot and or maybe he thought I got it, or maybe I thought he got it, and apparently we didn't. But that's all I have to say about it. The reason I have that there, and actually he didn't finish it out. He only put one wall up, the back wall, the north wall, and I finished it out. It's just with doors mostly. There's no windows in there, and there's no heating or insulation or anything. It's just storage for my antique tractors and my pickup. That's all it's there for. Thank you.
Mr. Wolf, for the record, you reside at 53 East Big Rock Road,
Yes, ma'am.
correct? Thank you.
Okay.
Wait, sir. So has the carport been removed?
Yes.
And you have no intention of building
No.
a replacement?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you.
I learned my lesson there. I actually didn't know I needed a permit for a carport, but of course I do. So, but yeah, if the roof is off of the building, and it's no longer a building.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
I haven't torn it completely down. Do you know how hard it is to get framing nails with air gun nails put in to get them out? It's a bitch. But it will be coming down.
Just say nothing about the snow.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions for Mr. Wolf? No. All right. Did I ask about opposition?
No.
Is there anyone in the audience that would speak in opposition to this request? All right, hearing none, may I have a motion, please, for the variance?
I'll move to approve the request by Leonard Wolf for a variance to the accessory structure size limit to allow for a total of 3,100 square feet of accessory structures, 1,574 square feet more than the 1,526 square feet allowed in the C2 Commercial District located at 53 East Big Rock Road for the following reasons. Number one, the applicant previously constructed accessory structures without permits on the property, but has worked with the building department to address the deficiencies. Number two, there would appear to be a uniqueness to the request as the property is located on the fringe of the city with commercial use to the west and farm fields in close proximity. Number three, there would not appear to be a negative impact on the area. Number four, it would appear that the request would not have a negative impact on traffic conditions in the surrounding area. Number five, that the existing carport be removed from the property. And number six, that all city codes, et cetera, are satisfied.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, our eighth Decision item for the evening is a request by Brad Thomas for a special permit to allow for a second house on a single lot in the R2, 1 and 2 family residence district located at 751 West Donald Street. Staff report.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, this was a request by Brad Thomas for special permit to allow for a second home on a single lot in the R2 1 to 2 family residence district. The applicant's requesting special permit to construct a second home on their property. The request does not appear to have a negative impact on the surrounding area, which consists of single-family homes. The request would not appear to have a negative impact on traffic and pedestrian conditions in the area. The site currently has 5.49 acres to construct a second home. The nearest trail is the Donald Street Trail, which is located adjacent to the north property line of 751 West Donald Street. There are no sidewalks in the vicinity. The site is currently zoned R2, 1 to 2 family residence district, and has been zoned as such since the adoption of the zoning ordinance in 1969. Surrounding land uses in their zoning are as follows. To the north is single-family residences, zoned A1 agricultural district. To the south and east, residential uses zoned R2, 1 to 2 family residence district. To the west, residential uses zoned R4 multiple residence district and M1 light industrial district. The area mostly consists of residential properties built between 1930s and 1990s. No buffers or additional screening would be needed with this request. The request would not appear to have a negative impact on drainage in the area. The structure is located in the 100-year floodplain as indicated by FEMA. The structure is not located in the 100-year floodplain as indicated by FEMA. There are no spaces or schools in the near vicinity. There are not utilities within the immediate vicinity. The properties listed on the future land use map as low-density residential. The proposed request would appear to meet the intent of the future land use map. Special permit is required to construct a second home on a single lot in the R2 1 and 2 family residence district. Construction of a single family home in the R2 requires a minimum lot size of 6,000 square feet, minimum lot width of 50, front and rear yard of 20 feet, and side yard of 5 feet. All requirements will be met. In any district, more than one structure housing on permitted is permissible. Permissive use may be erected on a single lot, provided that all yard and other requirements of the zoning ordinance are met. The size and dimensions of the lot is 5.49 acres. Lot width is 235 feet. The front yard setback will be 120 feet. Rear yard setback will be 880 feet. The east side yard will be 40 feet. And the west side yard setback will be 130 feet. Therefore, all size and dimensions will be met for the R2 requirements for a second residential structure. There is no plating required for this request. Therefore, staff recommends that the request by Brad Thomas for a special permit to allow for a second house on a single lot in the R2 1 to 2 family residence district be approved for the following reasons. The request would not appear to have a negative impact on density or the overall aesthetic appearance of the surrounding neighborhood. And 2, the request for a second home meets the minimum requirements for lot width, lot size, and setbacks.
Thank you. Any questions for staff?
A couple, maybe one.
Okay.
So 751 West Donald sits at the far south edge of this property.
Correct.
The new structure will be towards the north edge of the property.
Correct.
What will that residence have for an address?
That's a good question. I mean, that'll be determined by our engineering department. We have Steve Walker, and he looks at, I don't know, he's really good at addressing, and he'll look at, like 50 feet, first 50 feet, second 50 feet, and then that will determine the address number.
But it doesn't necessarily need to have an address.
Yeah, true.
Mhm.
Yeah, at this point in time, it doesn't need to have an address.
But eventually it will. Yes?
Sooner or
No.
later.
Yes.
If
Okay.
it, well,
Okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, it technically doesn't need one now.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
But it could potentially have one in the future because, one of the things of the zoning ordinance is that, you're allowed to build a second home as long as you meet the requirements, for the setbacks, for lot size and whatnot. And there's, he could potentially split it off in the future.
So
Just a few
you could have
steps.
two structures because it meets all the requirements with the same address. Is that what I'm
Correct.
hearing?
Maybe.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, you probably have unit 1, unit 2, or A and B.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Okay, thank you.
Other
Pardon me.
questions for staff? Are you Mr. Thomas? Would you like to come forward? Thank you.
I'm Brad Thomas, 751 West Down Street. The property actually doesn't sit to the back. My current house sits about in the middle of the property. Yeah, more central, and I do have currently 2 addresses, 747 and 751. But there's no house on 747. And that's
Will
what,
be soon.
yes,
Okay, all right,
with your guys' permission.
right.
Thank you.
Hold on just a second. So I, correct me if I'm wrong, this is somewhat of a gated community? There's a gate off of Donald Street that
Yeah, there
allows
is a gate.
entry into it? Okay,
Correct.
and so there's just one driveway that will service both residences,
Yes.
right? Okay, all right, thank you.
And the previous owner did have another resident there at one time. It was a mother-in-law suite. It was there for 7, 8 years, and then they moved it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
They
you.
moved the structure off of
Yeah,
the property.
It was
Okay.
a double-wide mobile home.
Okay.
Okay.
Other questions for Mr. Thomas? No? All right. May I have a motion for the request by Mr. Brad Thomas at 751 West Donald Street?
Madam Chair, I would like to recommend that we approve this request by Brad Thomas for a special permit to allow for a second house on the single lot in the R2 1 and 2 family resident district. Be approved for the following reasons. Number 1, the request would not appear to have a negative impact on density, sure I can talk, or the overall aesthetic appearance of the surrounding neighborhood. Number 2, the request for the second house meets the minimum requirements for lot width, lot size, and setbacks.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Go forth and build. All right, back to our agenda. Oh, we have the election of a chairperson and a vice chair for the term ending December 31, 2024. That's a one-year term.
Don't look at me, I'm the newbie.
Well, I'll make a motion that Jerry Thornsberry be elected as chair.
Well, thank you.
Second that.
And how about vice chair?
I'll move that John Beckman be elected as vice chair.
Second that.
Did we
Okay,
just get railroaded?
you did. And Carol. Okay, the first motion was to elect Jerry Thornsberry as chair. Moved by Craig, seconded by John. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. The second motion was to elect John Beckman as vice chair. It was moved by Craig, seconded by Carol. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Can I vote for myself?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you can. All right.
And
So,
then Jerry, will they be looking for another member? board
Yes.
member?
I was just gonna ask that.
We
if
had
there
some
was-
active applications, so there is, hopefully we'll have somebody before January.
for the January meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Good.
And are we meeting in December?
We are not meeting in December. We took care of that last time.
That's what
And
I
s-
thought. I just couldn't remember.
And
Right, our next meeting will be January 23rd, 2024.
And we had no special permits on the P and Z agenda, so that's what I always worry about with the December meeting council, but they have any of those.
Okay. Any other discussion items?
No, you did a great job, Jerry. Thank you.
Brad would be
Yes,
very
thanks.
proud of you.
Oh, I had a good teacher. Don't. Okay, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Second.
Okay, 5:15, we are adjourned. Happy holidays to everything, everyone.
Same
May
to you.
peace prevail on this earth.